All right, if you're a dungeon master, you know the feeling. You spend hours, maybe days, crafting this brilliant, intricate mystery, and then your players get stuck. The energy just drains out of the room, and the whole session grinds to a halt. It's super frustrating, right? But what if the problem isn't what you think it is? This just hits the nail on the head. We've all been there. You've got this one perfect clue, and the whole table is just staring at you, completely stumped. The issue isn't that your players aren't smart. Of course they are. The problem is that the entire mystery is balanced on this one single fragile moment of inspiration. That's a recipe for failure. So that's what we're going to tackle today. I'm going to walk you through a way to design investigations that are basically stall-proof. They always move forward. And this is the important part, they still make your players feel like geniuses when they dig in and play methodically. We're going to build something robust, engaging, and honestly, just way more fun for everybody. To pull this off, we just need to make one small but really powerful shift in how we think about mysteries. We need to stop designing puzzles that only Sherlock Holmes could solve and start designing for something every single person at your table already has in spades: curiosity.
This right here is our new mantra. Curiosity becomes the engine that drives the whole investigation. Just wanting to know what happened, asking, why is that guy acting so weird? That's what pushes the story along. Cleverness? Oh, that becomes the bonus round. It's what uncovers the deeper secrets and the bigger payoffs. But it's not the ticket you need just to get in the door.
And that's really the heart of it. A great mystery should never ever come to a screeching halt just because one player didn't make one specific leap of logic. That's just bad design. The forward momentum has to be built right into the structure of the adventure itself.
So you're probably asking, okay, how do we actually do that? Well, we're going to use a really simple but incredibly effective tool, the 3-layer investigation framework. This is how we take that philosophy we just talked about and turned it into something practical you can use in your very next session.
Okay, so this framework is built on 3 layers, kind of stacked right on top of each other. At the very bottom, you've got your baseline truth. In the middle, there's rewarded curiosity, and sitting right on top is the contextual revelation. Each layer has a very specific job, and together they make your mystery practically unbreakable. Let's start from the ground up.
First up is Layer 1, the baseline truth. Think of this as your absolute safety net. This is the stuff that ensures no matter what your players do or what they miss, the story never ever stalls. It is the guaranteed path forward. So, what goes in here? The absolute, dead obvious basics. The players walk in the room and you tell them, the merchant is lying on the floor, there's a strange-looking dart sticking out of his neck, and the window across the room is smashed open. See? You don't hide the fact that he was murdered. These clues are freebies, the kind of thing anyone would notice, no rolls required. This gets the ball rolling, every time. The rule for this layer is simple. It's absolute. This information moves the story forward no matter what. It's the unmissable core of the scene that literally points the players toward their next step.
Okay, so building on that solid foundation, we get to Layer 2, rewarded curiosity. If Layer 1 was the safety net, Layer 2 is where the game really begins. This is where your players' actions, their skills, and the clever questions they ask really start to pay off.
This is where you'll find clues like the nervous twitch a witness gets when you mention that dart. Or maybe a successful medicine check reveals the specific rare poison used to coat it. And notice the key thing here. These clues give context. They don't give you the final answer. Knowing the poison type doesn't tell you who the killer is, but boy does it deepen the mystery and give your players more threads to pull on.
This quote sums up Layer 2 perfectly. A failed roll shouldn't mean you learn nothing. It should mean you learn something different or incomplete. So maybe on a failed check, you still identify the poison, but you mistakenly think it's one used by the local Assassins Guild. You're still moving forward. In fact, you're probably rushing off to their headquarters. You're just on a slightly more complicated path. No dead ends.
And that brings us to the top. Layer 3, contextual revelation. This is the grand prize. This is that beautiful aha moment when all the little pieces your players have been gathering suddenly click into place. But, and this is so important, this layer is never, ever required to solve the case. It's a reward, not a gate. This is where your players might find the hidden love letters that reveal the killer wasn't some hired thug, but the victim's secret lover. It's the information that makes them look back at every other clue and see it in a completely new light. This is the stuff that gives them the full, satisfying picture of not just what happened, but why. And the absolute rule for Layer 3 is this. You never need this information to catch the bad guy and move on with the adventure. It exists purely to reward the most attentive players.
They can totally solve the case and bring the killer to justice without ever learning their tragic backstory. That deeper understanding is the bonus, the prize for really digging in.
Okay, so that's the theory behind it all. But how does this actually feel when you're playing? Let's talk about what this framework looks like in action, right there at the table.
This slide really says it all. In a traditional mystery, you fail a roll, the clue is lost, and boom, dead end. The game just stops. With this framework, you fail a roll, and maybe you get partial, or even slightly misleading information. The key is you get information. The path changes, but the story keeps moving forward. It completely changes the dynamic of failure.
And think about all the classic DM headaches this fixes. You know, those one-roll bottlenecks where everything hinges on a single dice roll? Gone. Clues that are basically a signed confession that short-circuits the whole investigation. Not a problem anymore. And your whole adventure won't collapse just because the party overlooked one tiny detail. Even powerful spells like Speak with Dead become tools to create more questions and more tension, not just skip to the end.
And I want to be super clear about this. You are not taking away the challenge. You are taking away the dead ends. The mystery can still be complex, it can still be tricky, but now your players can chase a wrong lead, they can be wrong safely, and they can still feel incredibly smart for piecing together the clues they did manage to find.
Which brings me to one last really important insight for any DM who wants to use this framework. And it all comes down to trust.
This was, hands down, the biggest lesson for me personally. My old DM instinct was to hoard every clue, to make the players fight and struggle for every scrap of information. Giving away those Layer 1 clues for free, it can feel wrong. It feels too easy. But you have to trust the system. You're not giving them the answer, you're just giving them the first thread. Trust that their natural curiosity will make them want to pull on it and see where it leads.
So there you have it, the 3-layer investigation framework. It's a tool to help you build mysteries that are way more engaging, way more fun, and way less fragile. But I'm really curious to hear from you. How do you handle mysteries at your table? How do you balance giving clues with making your players feel like detectives? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for digging into this with me today.